Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Quick housekeeping. Check out the affiliate links in our description. Using them supports the show, and please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into some pretty big news from OpenAI today.
Yeah, definitely significant.
They've just rolled out their upgraded GPT-4.1 and also a new GPT-4.1 mini. And this is across all the ChatGPT platforms.
Right. And the key thing here, I think, for a lot of people listening is that this impacts everyone. Free users, paid users, you're all getting access to more advanced AI now.
Exactly. So our mission today, you could say, is to unpack what these new models actually mean for you, who've been digging into some analysis, looking at articles like GPT-4.1 and Agentic AI revolutionized ChatGPT, plus several perplexity AI summaries comparing 4.1 with the previous GPT-4.0.
Mm-hmm. We want to focus on the key upgrades, this concept of agentic AI, which seems to be growing, and, the real practical benefits you might actually see.
Okay, so let's start there. GPT 4.1 versus GPT 4.0. My first thought was, is this just a small step, or is it a genuine leap? It sounds like more than just a minor update.
It definitely feels like a significant leap, yeah. Even though OpenAI, they haven't laid out all the technical specs publicly. But what we're hearing and what the analysis suggests points to some really noticeable improvements, particularly in reasoning and understanding context.
So it's better at, getting what you actually mean, following the conversation.
Exactly. It seems to have a stronger grasp of more nuanced questions, remembers the conversation context better, and importantly, its logical reasoning seems more reliable, less likely to go off track.
That sounds much better. Less frustrating, hopefully. What else is new?
Speed is another big one. Perplexity reported it's around 40% faster than GPT-4.0.
40%. Wow.
Yeah, and that's noticeable, right? When you're trying to get things done, less waiting around, more productivity.
Definitely.
And alongside that speed, it's also more efficient. It uses less computational power.
Ah, okay. So that's good for OpenAI's costs, I guess.
It is, yeah. Allows them to serve more people, potentially more affordably. We're seeing reports of cost reductions, maybe up to 80% cheaper in some specific cases, or 26% cheaper per median query. That kind of efficiency could filter down.
And better safety, too, I saw mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. Improved safety and alignment, basically. Better safeguards against generating harmful or unwanted outputs. So faster, smarter, cheaper, safer. It's a pretty compelling package.
And the fact that GPT 4.1 Mini, the smaller one, is now out for everyone, including free users.
Yeah.
That feels, it feels important for accessibility.
It really does. It sort of democratizes access to a pretty high level of AI capability, puts powerful tools in the hands of way more people, lowers the barrier to entry for experimenting and using this stuff day to day.
Okay, let's talk about one of the features that really jumped out from the sources, the context window. Up to 1 million tokens for GPT 4.1. That's huge compared to GPT 4.0's 128,000.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in practice?
Right, it's about 8 times larger. So think of the context window as the AI's working memory.
Oh, man.
How much information it can hold and process at the same time when it's figuring out your answer.
1 million tokens, that's a lot of memory.
It's vast. And what it unlocks is the ability to work with really, really large chunks of text without needing to, manually split them up.
So I could feed it an entire book or a massive legal document.
Pretty much, yeah. An entire book, long legal contracts, hefty research papers, even large code bases. You can ask it to analyze the whole thing end to end.
No more copy-pasting sections.
Exactly. And it's not just single documents. It gets much better at understanding information across multiple long documents simultaneously.
Ah, so I could give it several reports and ask it to compare them.
Precisely. Cross-reference them, summarize the key arguments across all of them, pull out specific data points. It's much better at finding those needles in a haystack, specific facts buried in tons of text.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful for anyone dealing with lots of complex information. It cuts down the manual work.
Hugely. Less manual chunking, less pre-processing. And the AI's reasoning over that long context becomes more reliable. Summarizing long reports, comparing detailed contracts, analyzing big data sets, it gets much better at all that.
Got it. Now, another term that popped up was token caching. Sounds technical, but what's the core idea there?
It's actually a pretty clever efficiency trick. Token caching means the system temporarily stores and reuses bits of text tokens that it's already processed in your current session or recent interactions.
So if I keep asking questions about the same document or parts of it. It doesn't have to reread it from scratch every single time.
That's the gist of it, yeah. Like remembering a chapter you keep referring back to, as you said earlier, it holds on to those already processed segments.
And the benefit is?
Primarily reduced latency, faster response times, especially when you're working with those big context windows we just talked about, or if your requests have recurring patterns or structures.
Makes sense.
We're seeing reports of much quicker initial response times, the time to first token, particularly for the mini and nano models. And the other big benefit is cost.
How so?
Because it's reusing computations, OpenAI can offer discounts on those repeated tokens. The sources mentioned discounts up to 75% now.
75%. Wow.
Yeah, so it makes handling really complex, large-scale workflows more affordable and scalable. Overall, it just leads to a smoother, snappier, and potentially cheaper experience for you.
Okay, that's clear. So we've got faster responses, this massive context window, smarter caching for efficiency. Who really stands to gain the most from all these improvements? What kinds of users or tasks?
Well, several groups come to mind. Think about professionals in, say, legal, finance, or compliance.
Right, the people dealing with those huge documents we mentioned.
Exactly. Analyzing multiple lengthy contracts, extracting key data for due diligence, checking compliance across regulations. This is a massive boost for them. Carlyle, the investment firm, reportedly saw a 50% improvement in data extraction using similar tech.
50%, that's substantial.
Definitely. Then you've got software engineers and data scientists. They can now process entire code bases, get help with generating or reviewing code more effectively, run complex SQL queries against database schemas described in text.
Yeah.
Businesses in general, too. Automating customer support with bots that understand long conversation histories, generating marketing content, or summarizing internal reports, building automated reporting pipelines.
And researchers,
Mm-hmm.
academia, healthcare.
Absolutely. Anyone needing to analyze huge volumes of text research papers for literature reviews, medical texts for diagnostic support, educational materials. And of course, developers building on these models benefit from the lower costs and latency, especially if they're creating agentic workflows.
You mentioned software engineers again. The sources specifically called out coding tasks, where GPT 4.1 seems to pull ahead of 4.0. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. It seems particularly strong at generating code diffs. Figuring out the precise changes needed between two versions of code. Apparently much more accurate on benchmarks measuring that.
Okay, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, and also performing better on broader real-world software engineering tasks. There's a benchmark called SWE Bench, and 4.1 showed a higher completion rate there.
So better at actually solving practical coding problems.
Seems like it. Also better at agentic coding tasks, where the AI has to figure out multiple steps to solve a problem on its own. And improvements were noted in front-end coding, generating cleaner code, handling those large code bases we discussed, and just generally following complex coding instructions better.
So really becoming a more capable coding assistant across the board.
That's the picture emerging, yes.
Now let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier, agentic AI. You said GPT 4.1 is designed to support this. What exactly are we talking about when we say agentic?
Right. So traditional chatbots, you give them a prompt, they give you a response. Agentic AI is a step beyond that. It refers to AI systems that can tackle more complex multi-step tasks more autonomously.
How so?
Think of an AI that doesn't just answer a question, but can understand a goal, break it down into steps, plan how to execute those steps, maybe even use external tools like searching the web or accessing a database, and then carry out the plan with less moment-to-moment guidance from you.
So it's more proactive, takes initiative.
Exactly. It acts more like an agent working towards a goal rather than just a reactive tool.
Mm-hmm.
GPT 4.1, with its better reasoning, context handling, and potentially tool integration features, seems built to power these more sophisticated, goal-oriented AI systems.
Okay, so moving from conversationalist to perhaps a workflow automator, what kind of impact could this shift towards more agentic AI have?
Potentially, it's transformative. I mean, for you as a consumer, it could mean having much more powerful free AI assistants that can handle complex errands or manage information for you.
Mm-hmm.
For businesses, it really opens the door to more significant automation of processes, driving efficiency, maybe reducing operational costs quite a bit.
And for developers?
It gives them the building blocks to create entirely new kinds of applications and services that we haven't even thought of yet. It fuels innovation. And making these base models, like 4.1 mini, widely available, kind of accelerates that whole process by putting the tools in more hands. It continues the democratization of AI.
This has been really illuminating. So Just to wrap things up quickly, the key takeaways seem to be that GPT 4.1 and its mini version are a pretty big step up.
Yeah.
More accessible, yes, but also fundamentally more capable, faster, better reasoning, handling way more information, more efficient.
Absolutely. And this move towards agentic capabilities powered by models like this feels like it could really start reshaping how we interact with technology day to day. It's not just incremental improvements anymore.
Right. It feels like a shift.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As this kind of AI power becomes more widespread and easier to access, start thinking about how it might change your workflows. With assistants that can process huge amounts of info and automate complex tasks, what does that unlock for you? What problems that seemed too big before might now be solvable?
That's definitely the exciting question to ponder. What new possibilities does this open up?
Indeed. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks for breaking all that down.
My pleasure. Good discussion.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.